Previously on The Business.
Let's see if I can get this right. John Nicolakakis is the CEO of Roman's Pizza. How did I do? Did I do all right?
You did very well.
Let me see. Where's your microphone? Over there we go. How are you today, sir?
I'm very well. How are you?
Oh, that microphone doesn't seem to be very happy. Maybe we can just push this one over here. I don't see why it's not working. Sorry about that. There we go. Much better. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here this morning. How's the pizza business going?
The pizza business is great.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good for us, fortunately. It seems like most of Africa is eating pizza at the moment. So we have
okay, let's take a step back, John, and talk about the businesses as a whole before we get into this remarkable story which you've presented to us. Tell us a bit about Roman's Pizza. Where have you guys come from? What do you do? I mean, I know you're in the pizza business, but just give us a bit of background.
Roman's Pizza was started by my father in the early 90s when he bought a struggling international brand over, and he saw that there was mispricing in the market and that they were too expensive. So he started the 2 pizzas for 1 price, and we were the first in the market to do that. And ever since then, we've stuck to our fundamental base of best possible quality ingredients and the best possible price in the industry, which we still do today. We offer the best value for money in the pizza segment of the fast food sector.
John, it's a very, very competitive market these days. Was it as competitive back then?
It wasn't as competitive back then, but the market wasn't as big back then either.
Yeah.
The
You mean
emerging
in terms
market.
of demand?
Correct. The emerging market didn't know the product, they didn't eat it 10, 15 years ago, where they are now, the majority of our growth is coming from that sector. And generally, South Africans were meat eaters. They were always known to be meat eaters, and pizza was still a new segment in the mid 90s, mid to early 90s, where pizza has now become a family meal. You have friends over, corporates have to host a party. Pizza is the first thing you'll choose.
You mentioned the growing demand in that new market, and that was really kind of the seed of the story that we want to talk about today, wasn't it? I mean, you'll move into an Atteridgeville and finding somebody to run with that.
100%. 100%.
Let's start with that story, Ian. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to talk about Roman's Pizza in general. I want to talk about Mike.
So let's find out. Tell us a little bit about that history.
Well, the story goes, and I'm really sorry Mike couldn't be here. He was our franchisee of the year across the system for the financial year ending 2013. Mike joined us approximately 7-8 years ago as a security guard at our flagship branch in Hatfield in Pretoria. And he continued to work in that branch for approximately 18 to 24 months. And it was mentioned once or twice, maybe we should look at promoting him. He was getting a bit agitated. He wanted a better position. So the manager of the branch offered him a cashier position. Unfortunately, Mike wasn't happy with that. He's a very ambitious young man. And one of our other franchisees offered him a management position at his branch in Sunnyside in Pretoria. A couple of months down the line, myself and this franchisee were opening a joint venture outlet in Atteridgeville in Pretoria, to which the franchisee said, let's make Mike the head manager because he's showing a lot of potential. I was very happy with that. We went ahead and opened the branch. Thereafter, about 6 months later, the partner, the franchisee, decided to emigrate, so I bought his shares over and it became a fully fledged corporate store, at which point I started interacting a lot more with Mike. We then made him an operating partner. He became a partner in the business. He ran an exceptional store. Its growth has been phenomenal. 2 years later, another store came on the market, which is Roman's Karankua. And due to the fact that it is in the vicinity and due to the fact that Mike is so ambitious, we decided to make him a shareholder in that, fully fledged shareholder in that store as well. He's been running the 2 stores collectively for the last 5 years. They show amongst the best growth in the group. He came from being a security guard with little to no education, especially in our sector, yet he runs a pristine operation. I'm dumbstruck. Unfortunately, I don't get around regularly to a lot of the branches these days, but the 2 or 3 times I've walked into Karankua and Atteridgeville, he runs a better store than a lot of our continental franchisees or white franchisees, for lack of a better word, who you would assume with a better education would run a better store, and that's not the case. He's got his heart committed to the business. He's a passionate franchisee.
John, what did you see in him that, because you were going out on a limb, as you say, you were taking a little bit of a risk, albeit a calculated risk at the time. you must have had people saying, "Are you crazy? You know, what are you thinking?" What did you see in Mike that you knew that wasn't an issue?
Commitment. I'm sorry to say that we didn't see it initially when he was obviously clamoring for promotion.
Yeah.
But afterwards, when I was interacting with him and he was running that branch at Ridgeville initially, it was just true commitment. He was totally committed. He'd worked the 70, 80-hour weeks that is required of the business. He'd put in the overtime even without me fighting with him to do it, which very few managers would do, or other employees. And he's passionate and committed, and that's what we're looking for.
So what does it take to run a Roman's Pizza store? I mean, let's talk about what Mike actually did. How did he figure his way out? He obviously got a bit of help from you guys, but is it a very difficult thing to do?
It's not. It's not rocket science running a fast food outlet, especially an established brand. We've got our systems in place. We've got a full training center. But it has its own challenges.
Yeah.
You are buying, manufacturing, and selling on site. Unfortunately, you need eyes not only at the back of your head, all over your head in the fast food sector. You need to be able to be in the front and be a salesman and have the patience to deal with a difficult customer. At the same time, you need to be a psychologist for your staff when they're having a bad day. So it challenges your patience on a daily basis. So you need an ability to focus even when times are tough, when things go wrong, and they often do in our industry, unfortunately.
How is he growing from here? I mean, it's just such a pity he's unable to join us today. But I mean, do you have plans for Mike? Is there a training program which you perhaps want to do in his kind of style and encourage other staff members? Because surely folks at Roman's Pizza who work there must look at this guy and go, hang on a minute, here's somebody who's doing incredibly well. How can I get some of that magic?
100%. What we're finding is we're battling with labor. We're battling with staff and capable staff. So we're using Mike, excuse the term, but exploiting him, which he's happy to do with us for the benefit of the brand.
You're lucky he's not here.
Yeah, I'm lucky he's not here. But we're presenting him to our corporate stores. We run quite a few corporate stores to show the lower level workers that there is opportunity within the brand. If you prove to the company that you can do it and you want it, there's definitely a growth trajectory and there's a career path for you at Roman's Pizza head office. So we're using Mike as a template. We're showing our staff what can be achieved, and in a fairly short period of time, in all fairness. And he's not the only one. He was the first. We've had a couple of other great stories since him, not to the degree that he has achieved, but great ones as well. So that is primarily what we're using Mike for, as a brand ambassador within our organization, to say, do what you got to do, and you've got a great career ahead of you at Roman's Pizza.
John, you've spoken about Mike and what you saw in him, but part of the benefits of a franchise is obviously buying into something that has systems in place and comes with some kind of a blueprint. So for me, it's testimony a little bit to the strength of that blueprint that Roman's Pizza has as well, that there is such a success story there, because it's not just the franchisee that is responsible for success. You must have something different about the way you put your blueprint in place that enables someone who comes from nowhere really effectively and is able to do this.
Correct. Look, it is a two-way street. Both parties have to bring their share to the table. The franchisor as well as the franchisee. Alternatively, you're buried. The franchisees are the front line. They're the ones who interact with our customers on a day-to-day basis. They're the face of our brand. A head office manages the bigger picture. So we manage the brand. We're the custodians for the brand on a holistic basis. So our campaigns, our pricing, etc. Yes, when you join a franchise, it's vital that you make sure that it's a tried and tested concept, and what do they stand for. And from the day my dad created the brand, where his values were best pizza, best value, we've stuck to that bottom line, and we haven't moved away from it at all in any time. Whether food inflation was running at 15%, we would absorb the costs. And whatever challenges we met, we've stuck to our core values of best pizza, best value. So as a head office, I think our focus has definitely assisted with Mike specifically, but he's done his part, definitely done his part.
Are you still the cheapest pizza?
We are the best value for money in the industry. We have the best prices in the industry, yes. Cheapest is a dangerous word.
I know.
Because we do use the finest ingredients. This isn't just rhetoric, this truly is factual. We are approximately 10 to 30% cheaper than our competitors.
From your perspective, do you think that market is saturated now in terms of pizza as part of that fast food sector? We've seen a lot of newcomers come onto that landscape since you started.
I think for a newcomer, it's definitely challenging these days. It's a lot more difficult, but no, there's still towns in South Africa that don't have a branded pizzeria.
Yeah.
Not one of the big three. There's a couple of international players eyeing to come into the market, so they must know something we don't as well. So our growth has been great. Even in a recession, in all fairness, a recession is good for the fast food sector. Fast food is more resilient. And we've had great growth. Existing stores have shown great growth above inflation. So we're still optimistic. We know that there are challenges ahead, but we believe that the pizza segment can continue to grow.
John, what is the rollout and the growth of Roman's Pizza from here? I mean, do you aim to be a Pep store and have a Roman's in every small back-end town in South Africa? Or are you looking into Africa? Are you looking internationally? I use Debonair as an example with Famous Brands. I mean, they've obviously now taken their brand overseas. It's been kind of looked at with people going, oh, that's a dangerous market to go into the East, but they're doing it. What are your plans? Do you have any great expansion plans over the next few years?
We'll be happy when we see our signage on the White House. I mean,
well, listen. In fact, you mentioned that,
chandelier in the White House.
and Nando's have actually done a big campaign recently in Washington. So they're not sort of unused to, if that's a real word, to South Africans throwing food around the place. So where to from here?
We still see good growth ahead.
Yeah.
We are continuing to expand aggressively in South Africa, specifically rural markets, smaller towns.
Yep.
We believe we can double our store base in the next few years locally. We are trading in Gaborone in Botswana. We're trading in Lesotho. We're busy with 1 or 2 sub-Saharan countries at the moment. I'm chatting to various parties.
Has that been challenging? I mean, you use the thing of finest ingredients, best value for money. You go into a place like Lesotho, that's a logistical nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you should come join us, because you obviously know a bit about our industry. That is our biggest challenge. Yeah. So that's why we're focusing on sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah. I went to Lagos 5-6 years ago, and my jaw was on the floor. Yeah. The opportunity is incredible, but how do you get flour there? How do you get mozzarella there? Yeah. How do you manage the logistics? So it would put way too much strain on us. We're still a lean team. We're a small company, family-owned business. That's why we're focusing on the bordering countries that we can support. We can support as a head office. We can give them the logistical, the product knowledge, the training, whatever they need. We can manage that.
Well, on the note of yourself and of course Mike, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, thank you for that inspirational story. Well done to you guys for supporting him and giving him the opportunity to grow like that. I hope that this kind of develops into a bursary program or a kind of education program for folks to be able to get into the business and learn more about it. I hope you guys do amazing things with that.
Thank you for the time. I really appreciate it.
Fantastic. John Nicolakakis, the CEO of Roman's Pizza South Africa, joining us on the show today. Of course, you can join them on their website. All of their details are there. You can go to romanspizza.co.za. Thanks for your time.
The Business on balls.co.za. Brought to you by FNB Business Banking.